The hum had been a constant companion for years, a low, resonant thrum beneath the surface of Kairo Renfield's meticulously ordered life. Not the white noise of the city outside his apartment, but an internal frequency, a persistent, almost precognitive vibration that no amount of logic or data could fully explain. He dismissed it as a neurological quirk, a byproduct of an intellect always running at redline. Tonight, however, the hum surged, a crescendo that vibrated through his very bones, threatening to shatter the precise rhythm of his focus. On 3 holographic screens, lines of quantum entanglement code shimmered, green taxed against black, the culmination of a personal project he'd poured his detached genius into. His fingers, long and agile, danced across the custom-built keyboard, each keystroke a silent testament to a mind that found solace only in absolute control, in the elegant certainty of algorithms. He was 22, a prodigy who had once been hailed as the next great mind, until a single, fractional miscalculation, a moment of human error, had led to a public and spectacular academic failure that had subsequently redefined his world as one of profound ennui. Now, in the quiet solitude of his apartment, surrounded by the sterile glow of his monitors, he sought only the perfect, unblemished logic that reality seemed to constantly deny him. Then, the world fractured. It wasn't a tremor, not an explosion, but a complete, instantaneous disintegration of physics. The air thickened, turning viscous, then solidified into something akin to emerald-infused glass. The screens before him didn't just glitch, they shattered into a million glowing shards, each reflecting an impossible alien landscape. The walls of his apartment buckled inward, not collapsing, but folding into themselves, revealing swirling nebulae of violet and gold. The very air shrieked, a sound of tearing fabric, not cloth, but the fundamental weave of existence itself. Kairo felt his body stretch, compress, then snap back, a sensation of being simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. The emerald light, blinding and absolute, swallowed him whole, extinguishing the hum, the code, and the carefully constructed apathy that had been his shield. He awoke to the scent of damp earth and something sweet, cloying, like overripe fruit and ozone. Sunlight, dappled and impossibly green, filtered through a canopy of colossal trees whose leaves pulsed with a faint inner luminescence. The ground beneath him was soft, carpeted with moss and strange bioluminescent fungi. He lay perfectly still, his analytical mind already sifting through the impossible data points. The air, breathable but subtly richer. The gravity, familiar but with a feather-light quality. The complete absence of concrete, steel, or the distant wail of sirens. His heterochromia, one sapphire eye, one emerald, scanned his surroundings, taking in the alien beauty of the ancient forest. This wasn't a dream, this wasn't a hallucination, this was elsewhere. As he pushed himself up, a shimmering, translucent interface materialized before him, a holographic display of elegant, flowing cyan energy. Welcome, Sovereign. System initialization complete. The voice was not a sound, but a direct neural transmission, calm and utterly devoid of inflection. Kairo, ever the pragmatist, felt a peculiar thrill of intellectual curiosity override the shock. This was a system, a program, and it was speaking to him. User identified, Kairo Renfield. Designation, Sovereign. Abilities granted. Absolute control over personal parameters. Skill acquisition. Reality command subroutines. Current status, untethered, unaligned. Objective, survival. Before Kairo could even process the cascade of information, a shadow, vast and multi-limbed, fell over him. From the undergrowth, a creature of nightmare emerged. a chitinous monstrosity with 6 razor-sharp scythe-like appendages, glowing crimson eyes, and a maw dripping with phosphorescent ichor. It let out a guttural roar that rattled the ancient trees. Instinct, honed through years of competitive martial arts, took over. But this wasn't Jeet Kune Do. This wasn't capoeira. As the beast lunged, a command, clear and cold, formed in Kairo's mind, not spoken, but willed into existence. Sovereign command, mana burst, absolute annihilation. A blinding wave of psion energy erupted from his body, not a gentle pulse, but a focused, concussive force that slammed into the creature. It didn't just kill it, it erased it. The monstrosity disintegrated into motes of shimmering dust, leaving behind only a faint scorch mark on the moss and a lingering scent of burnt sugar. Kairo stood amidst the dissipating energy, his breath even, his heart strangely calm. He felt no fatigue, no exertion, only a chilling realization. His destructive potential was, quite literally, absolute. Threat neutralized, experience gained. New skill, energy manipulation, Tier 1. The system's voice was as dispassionate as ever. Kairo, however, felt a cold dread begin to seep into his carefully constructed composure. This wasn't just power, this was a force that could unmake. He had sought control, yes, but this was beyond anything he had ever conceptualized. The system, sensing his internal turmoil, presented a new panel. World status, Ethelgard. Dimensional integrity, critical. Instability index, 87.3%. Convergence event detected. Terra Prime, Earth. Estimated merge time, unknown, accelerating. Kairo's sapphire eye widened almost imperceptibly. Terra Prime, Earth? The emerald flash, the hum, the tearing of reality. A sickening wave of understanding washed over him. His arrival, his very existence here, was not a random anomaly. It was a symptom, or worse, a catalyst. He wasn't just a passenger in this impossible journey. He was inexplicably at its core. His personal catastrophe had become a universal one. Driven by a need to understand, to quantify, to control, Kairo began to move, pushing deeper into the forest. The system's interface overlaid his vision, a constant stream of data, flora identification, ambient mana readings, directional vectors. He moved with the fluid grace of a predator, his lean, deceptively athletic build cutting through the dense foliage. He soon stumbled upon a clearing dominated by ancient, crumbling ruins, overgrown with vines that glowed with the same soft light as the trees. The architecture was unlike anything he had ever seen. Massive stone blocks carved with intricate, unfamiliar symbols that seemed to pulse with residual energy. He ran a hand over a weathered glyph, the system instantly analyzing it. Runic script, ancient Aethelguardian. Function, mana conduit, defensive ward. His mind, a rapid-fire processor, began to piece together the fragments of this new reality. Magic, runes, a world where the impossible was simply another set of rules. He recalled his own academic failure, the intricate calculations for a revolutionary energy containment theory that had promised limitless, clean power, but had ended in a theoretical implosion, a catastrophic mathematical paradox. He had obsessed over it, pouring his genius into a problem that ultimately proved too complex, too volatile for his control. He had walked away from it, from academia, from the very idea of investing fully in anything, fearing a repeat of that soul-crushing helplessness. Now, he possessed a power that made his past ambitions seem like child's play, a system that bent reality to his will. Yet, the same fear, the same gnawing apprehension of a loss of control. The scent of ozone grew stronger, accompanied by a low, guttural chittering. The system flashed a warning. Hostile entities detected, mana signature aberrant. From the shadows of the ruins, grotesque figures began to coalesce. They weren't solid, not entirely. Their forms shifted and distorted at the edges, like badly rendered holograms, limbs elongating, mouths widening into impossible grins. They were shadowy, corporeal nightmares, attracted by the residual mana from his earlier confrontation. Kairo's sapphire eye narrowed, the emerald one gleaming with cold calculation. He allowed the system to analyze them, mapping their energy signatures, pinpointing their weaknesses. Vulnerability, high-frequency kinetic disruption. Weakness, elemental purity. The creatures advanced, their chittering growing louder, their movements erratic and unnerving. This wasn't just brute force. This required precision. Sovereign command, reality warp, localized kinetic resonance. Sovereign command, elemental control, concentrated plasma discharge. His hands moved, not in a martial arts form, but in a series of precise, almost surgical gestures. The air around the creatures began to vibrate with an impossible frequency, their shifting forms destabilizing further. Then, from his outstretched palm, a focused beam of incandescent blue plasma erupted, lancing through the vibrating air, striking the lead creature. It didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, its aberrant mana signature collapsing inward. The others hesitated, their forms flickering wildly. Kairo moved, a blur of motion, his strikes now imbued with the same focused energy, each touch a precise, annihilating blow. Within seconds, the clearing was silent once more, the last shadowy creature dissolving into nothingness, leaving behind only a faint metallic tang in the air. Kairo stood alone, the silence of the ancient forest settling around him, broken only by the gentle rustle of luminescent leaves. He felt no triumph, no exhilaration, only a profound, chilling isolation. The power he wielded was immense, absolute, but it offered no warmth, no connection. It was a burden. A crushing weight that promised to solve every problem while simultaneously distancing him from everything that might give life meaning. All threats neutralized, the system stated, its voice flat. New quest initiated. Seek the nexus of worlds. Primary objective, stabilize dimensional integrity. Secondary objective, understand convergence event. Kairo looked up, his gaze drawn by an almost imperceptible shimmer in the distant sky, a faint, rippling distortion in the fabric of reality, like heat haze above asphalt, but ethereal, cosmic. The world scar. The system's warning echoed in his mind. He pressed a hand to his temple, a fleeting, vivid image flashing through his thoughts. His sterile apartment, the glow of his screens. Then the sudden, piercing screams of a city he recognized, a city teeming with life, the very life he had so casually detached himself from. A terrifying echo from a world that might now be irrevocably doomed, and he, Kairo Renfield, was inextricably linked to its fate. The true scale of his burden, of his sovereign system, began to settle, heavy and cold, in the pit of his stomach.